two attorneys are in the hospital after getting shot outside the Wake County Courthouse in downtown Raleigh. There's a lot of moving pieces unfolding in this investigation. So first, let's start with what we know at this hour. Raleigh police say this woman, 57-year-old Gwendolyn White, was taken into custody. You can see her being escorted by police in that video there on your screen. They say it was over a civil court case that had just played out. And after court, White went to her car, got a gun, approached the attorneys in an alleyway and started shooting. Moments ago, we learned the victims have been identified in court documents and as seen on their firm's website as Mary Harris and Jeffrey Whitley. We have live team coverage for you tonight. Elena Athens has been on the scene there as the investigation has been unfolding all day. But we begin with John Dowding. John, you're learning some new details about those two attorneys who are now hospitalized. What are you learning?
Well, Steve, Lauren, that investigation is continuing here, but right now the alley where all of that chaos broke out earlier today in the heart of downtown Raleigh is back open, and it's coming as the I-team is learning key details about what brought the alleged shooter and those victims to court earlier today. The I-team discovering new details about the woman police say shot two attorneys outside a Wake County courthouse. Eyewitness News obtaining this video showing Raleigh police taking the woman they believe is the shooter into custody. Police identified the suspect as Gwendolyn White and say she's facing attempted murder charges. Court documents identify the victims as Mary Harris and Jeffrey Whitley, seen in bios posted on their law firm's website. The I-team learning White attended a hearing at the Wake County Courthouse Friday morning. The case involving a years-long civil claim she brought against the Rolesville Police Department in 2022. White sued the department for body camera video of an incident she says happened in her home. A judge dismissed the case in January 2026. A judge held a hearing at 10 this morning to determine whether to reinstate the case. Raleigh police say White became, quote, belligerent in the courtroom and left the courthouse just before the shooting. The town of Rolesville confirmed the victims represented the town in this civil matter and belonged to the Fox Rothschild law firm. This isn't the only case White has on file. The I-team finding more than a dozen civil actions she filed since 2022, according to the North Carolina courts database. Now, we did reach out to the town of Rolesville for a comment about that civil case that brought all of these parties involved to the courthouse earlier today. We're still waiting for a response back from the town, and we are also working to learn more details about the condition of those two attorneys who are in the hospital tonight. Live here in downtown Raleigh, I'm John Dowding, ABC 11 Eyewitness News.
You'll be working the story through the evening and have more tonight at 11. We'll see you then, John. Thanks.
And the two attorneys who were shot outside the Wake County Courthouse were in the same courtroom as that suspect. The room was on the 10th floor. Elena Athens continues our team coverage. Elena, we still don't know how those attorneys are doing tonight.
They're still alive. I want to read a scripture. Isaiah 59:14. And it reads, and judgment is turned away backwards, and justice standeth afar off. For truth has fallen in the streets, and equity cannot enter. Now, the reason I brung that scripture out is because this woman did everything according to the book. She filed suits against the police because, from what I'm hearing, they tortured a close family member of hers in her house. And that family member lost their life. That family member didn't make it because of what the police did to that family member. And I'm thinking it was the mother. I'm going to get the details on that. And the lawyers were working for the police department. Those were police department lawyers. They got rid of the body cam footage. They hid evidence. So the police chief, the chief of police, gave the commands to delete the footage. And this woman pretty much crashed out. Why? Because there was no justice, which shows you the current climate of people here in this Babylonian system who are not getting justice, who are not, it was the mom. So her mom was tortured in the house by the police. And she did everything the right way. They hid evidence. And you mean to tell me this woman is not getting any bail? They have not put up a bail for this woman. She was denied. But you got Chud the Builder running around. who premeditatedly attempted murder, and he gets a bond. And this woman, they got her showing up to court looking all undone because the police are not giving her the things she needs. She's not given her civil rights. So she's got to go to court looking all crazy. When the fact of the matter is, that's temporary insanity. You just lost somebody that close to you by the hands of a crooked system. So you know what she did? She took things into her own hands. You know what she was thinking? An eye for an eye. That's what she was thinking. Not somebody running around premeditating murder like Chud the Builder, who was out here trying to antagonize people just to get social media clicks and views. But they let this white supremacist, they let that domestic terrorist walk the streets. Well, he has the ability to walk the streets. He can get bailed out. And he is an actual flight risk. Y'all, we got to chop it up about this. Of course, I'm going to finish this news broadcast and chime in more, give y'all more details on this case. But there's a lot going on in the media, man. There's a lot of things that are really, really moving fast, y'all. You know, this 6G is coming pretty soon. We're going to stay in the scriptures this evening because, listen, when I tell you we got to do a deep dive on some of the artificial intelligence that's being released right now, a lot of it is very shocking. And a lot of it, you can parallel it with the word, right? And you can see exactly what's happening, what's going on, right? But you know how we do it. We give nothing but the truth. I want to thank everybody for joining. So let's get into it, y'all. Make sure y'all come through, get the likes up. Let's go.
They working against us. They hate our souls. They hate us. They hate our righteous indignation. They hate the exhortation that dwells in us. They hate our love. They hate our conviction. They hate the fact that we repented. They hate the fact that we're truthful, honest, and bold. They hate our courage. Them devils hate us. We're not finna line ourselves up with these weirdos and freaks. With these weirdos and freaks. They working against us. They hate our souls. Weirdos and freaks. But these weirdos and freaks, they working against us. They hate our souls. Nubreed.
Ephesians 6:10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord, and in the power of his might put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. And take the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. Praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints.
All praises to the Most High. Y'all know that's the most powerful intro on social media. Y'all already know we giving all honor and glory to Yah, man. I see you brothers and sisters rolling in the chat. Danielle's in the building. What's going on, everybody? Zoe Life was having. I see y'all. Susan, what's going on? Yes, yes. Y'all make sure y'all get the lights up. Jerome is in the building. NG, Child of God. Hebrew Care is in the building. That's right. Peace and blessings to everybody. Listen, we got to talk about Miss Gwendolyn White, the woman who allegedly shot these two lawyers. And we got to know that justice must be served. Justice must be served. Now, these two corrupt lawyers, I'm going to say this and people can feel how they want to feel about it, but I'm just going to call it like it is. They put themselves in a line of fire when they decided not to have a soul, when they decided that it's okay to just do evil, when it's okay to hide evidence or be involved in that, involved in tampering with evidence. You know, when you choose not to have any dignity or integrity, you know, things can happen to you. That's all I'm going to say about that. But however, we need to understand that Miss Gwendolyn White wasn't just some street lady. You understand? This woman was highly educated. She had a professional background. She even previously worked as an attorney. She had legal training connected to this case. Yes. So she knew that the case was being railroaded. She knew that they were dirty. And they took out her mother. They took out her mother. And you're going to see a lot of citizens starting to really rebel against this crooked system. And honestly, how could you blame her? They tortured her mother in her house. You know? So don't let nobody frame this as some street altercation, because this is what they'll try to do. No, this lady was highly educated. She had all kinds of degrees and everything. Anyway, let's go.
Yeah, we're still working, Lauren, to figure out how they're doing or the extent of their injuries. I did speak with some folks who were inside this courtroom for their own proceedings when the shooting happened.
I got a message from one of my friends asking were we okay.
Securia Stedman was in the middle of a divorce proceeding, then started hearing commotion. There was a shooting just outside of the building. 2 attorneys were shot, and this video shows deputies taking the suspected shooter into custody.
This is very wild. This is very wild, especially with it happening while we were in family court.
Police have identified the suspect as 57-year-old Gwendolyn White.
To be here when something like this happens is kind of unsettling.
Police say White was in court this morning with the attorneys on a civil matter.
The suspect in this case became belligerent.
Police say she left the courtroom on her own, only to go.
Now, why would they call it a civil matter? Because there's nothing civil about somebody torturing your mother in your home and getting rid of the body cam footage. They were doing all kind of things to this woman. I wasn't sure if it was an aunt, a grandmother, or her mother. And it was her mother. And they were doing all kind of things to this woman, straight up tortured her till she died. I don't even want to say some of the things that these demons, these meat suits was doing to that woman. So they're trying to make it seem like it was a civil matter and she just crashed out. Bible say eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. The only problem is she missed. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, she missed. And I'm pretty sure for her mom, she was willing to go all out. And at the end of the day, you know, they made it. They survived. That's an attempted murder. Y'all got a white supremacist running around being able to get bail. This woman should get bail. That's temporary insanity.
To her vehicle and allegedly grab a handgun from her car. Tonight, we watch as investigators began combing through a white Lexus sedan on Fayetteville Street.
The suspect got out of the vehicle, approached the two victims, shot both victims, and that's when the deputies and officers were able to take that suspect in custody.
So the Wake County Courthouse and the Wake County Justice Center were both put on lockdown earlier today. However, the Wake County District Attorney did make the decision to suspend all proceedings midday. Live in Raleigh, Elena Athens, ABC 11 Eyewitness News.
Yeah, when you, you know, tampering with evidence and tampering with, you know, the grief process of a person, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what that is doing. That's what those lawyers was doing, tampering with the grief process of this woman. She was taking her energy, her hard-earned effort, and getting those civil suits after losing her mother, knowing there was body cam footage. And then people want to cry a river for these people who had bullets coming their way. I say, hey, listen. Hey, look, at the end of the day, this is what happened when you corrupt it. And eventually the citizens going to start really making something shake because of all of the injustice that's falling in the streets. Hebrew Care, thank you for the support. Revelations 2:10 says, thank you, brother, for the love. For the love, it says, sad what they did to her. We will keep her in our prayers. Absolutely. It is definitely sad. And then the media is trying to paint this woman as if she's just a maniac who just lost her mind in a civil situation. Now, when you dig and see what really happened, you will see how much corruption is involved in this case and why that woman did that. Look, listen, let me just put it out here. Foundational Black Americans do not just randomly shoot people. We don't do that. We don't randomly go to no courthouse. And the irony of all of this is this happened at a courthouse. Chud the Builder randomly shot somebody in the name of white supremacy at a courthouse. This woman shot somebody at a courthouse because of what they did to her mother. Chud the Builder gets bail. Chud the Builder did it for social media clicks. He gets bail. This woman gets denied bail. I think more people need to talk about that. That shows you how racist this country is. It shows you just how wicked they are under MAGA America. I really feel for this story here because, you know, when somebody do something to your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, anybody close to you, and there's no justice, what do you do in your mind? Her mom didn't leave this earth for natural causes. No, she was not only terminated by police, but she was tortured. And they hid it. So you know what this woman did? She stepped up and she went John Wick on them people. That's what she did. And she should post bail. And you know who should be arrested? The police officers. The corrupt lawyers should be arrested. But guess who's the one looking crazy on the news? Guess who's the one looking crazy on the news? The woman who actually stood up for herself. Because that's what she did at the end of the day. Telling you, y'all. I want to read this scripture here. want to go here. And hold on. We're going to go to, yep, we're going to go to Matthew. Matthew 24:12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. So you're going to see, because there's so much iniquity, so much corruption, so much sin, so much wickedness, you know what you're going to see? You're going to see rising anger. You're going to see public violence. You're going to see people start to become emotionally numb. You're going to see society become colder and colder. You're going to see random acts of violence. You're going to see these things. You know, people, you're going to see a road rage go up, a lack of empathy. People going to be starting to snap. And that's the climate of this country right now. And then, you know, you got a new frequency being introduced, and we got to talk about that, y'all. There's a whole new frequency being introduced. And I'm going to say this before we even pivot over here to what I'm about to talk about. Look, let me just say this. RFK have been warning us. Bernie Sanders, Alex Jones, a host of other notable figures, right, have been warning us about this mRNA. I'm going to tell you right now, I've done some extensive research on this today. And I mean, I believe RFK was right when he said that this mRNA will cause premature deaths and have caused premature deaths linked to the COVID. You know what? And I'm going to take it a step further based on what I researched. This 5G that we have now, it has, listen, whatever nanoparticles have been inseminated in the people, that is the catalyst for the 5G. Now, this 6G, there's even more coding that they have in place. When I say that we're living in a matrix, it's truly a matrix. Yeah, I'm talking about RFK Jr. It's truly a matrix, y'all. It's truly a matrix. But, and then you got these data centers hooked up and people thinking that the Wi-Fi, the new 6G Wi-Fi is about connecting devices. No, brothers and sisters, it's about connecting to you, us, we. It's about connecting to our conscious, our subconscious, our frequency, our energy, our life force. That's what it's about. Now, of course, we're going to get into it and break this down, y'all. We're going to get into it and break it down. We got to talk about it, y'all. We got to talk about it because the AI has taken its next step.
Advancement from 5G to 6G. Listen closely to what he says.
So we're into 6G now. I just finished 5G. I was a leader on 5G getting that done. And now they're up to 6.
Let's do it again.
What does that do? Give you a little bit deeper view into somebody's skin?
To see deeply into somebody's skin. Trump is not lying. But let's break this down because here's where it gets interesting. Now, all these chemtrails that we see in the skies, you know, the chemtrails that they outright just show us, that they make, these chemtrails are filled with conductive metals like barium, aluminum, strontium, and graphene. When you breathe these into your body, these metals are now in your bloodstream. They are in you. Because this air is conductive, they have the ability to heat up the atmosphere. They have the ability to create extreme weather because it's all directed energy. And because this air is conductive and it is tuned to your DNA, they can manipulate you. I don't think that's what people understand. This is a spiritual warfare. They're attacking your soul. Now I need you to realize that you are in their energy grid system. The chemtrails are a part of their energy grid system. Their conductive metals that are in the air responds to the towers. And that same ionized air is in you, which means they now have power to your nervous system. They have the power to alter with your genetic life code, your DNA. These AI towers will literally be able to see you as a bioelectric silhouette because you are in their energy grid system. Does that make sense? These AI towers will have the ability to pinpoint your ass. Now enough of the fear. How do you prevent this? Detox. And I mean detox from everything they have. Fruits, veggies, eat clean. Everything you consume, make it clean. You don't want to be their electric target. You want to be a clean temple. Fast. Exercise, sweat, get in the sun. The sun will literally heat up and kill all the parasites in your body. The sun will eat anything synthetic in your body. Ground yourself, reduce the EMF charges. But real quick, back to what Trump said. Does it give you a deeper view into somebody's skin? Yes, he's not lying. In early 2026, MWC in Barcelona, this is an event center for like AI, satellites, and bullshit. They majorly announced the rollout of 6G. It's coming. Now you see it. 6G's on rollout. Don't stress it. Just clear the temple within. That's it. Peace and love always. Now in this video, Trump talks about the advancement from 5G to...
Now, what the brother just said is very, very important. You got to cleanse your body. You got to eat whole foods. You got to change your habits. You got to get your sleep at night. You got to stop stressing. You got to get your central nervous system in track. You got to get away from people who have a negative frequency, because that will weigh you down. You got to go out here and get grounded. You got to detox. You got to pray. You got to fast. They are trying to connect with everyone. Now, in case some of you all thinking that this is some sci-fi stuff, and you may be wondering, like, how did they cultivate such an atmosphere as this? Well, you know, the scriptures talk about this. The scriptures talk about it. And in Daniel 12:4, it tells us, but thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. So at this time, knowledge is increased. Knowledge is increased. So they're able to do things that they wasn't able to do 10 years ago, 20 years ago. They're advancing. The more sin, the more corruption, the more chaos that goes on in the world, the clearer the messages from the fallen angels, the Anunnaki, the whatever you want to call them. The more the fallen angels are able to communicate with these half-breeds more clearly. That's why knowledge is increasing on their behalf. This is why you got AI coming full-fledged. You got brain chips now. You got 6G, transhumanism, all this massive technological growth. This is why it's an information overload. Rapid scientific evolutions just taking place. This is why this is happening, y'all. And there's more. There's more.
Do you know what the C40 Consortium is? Yeah, well, they're a lot of fun. 40 of the biggest cities in the world. They've all signed on to this. So what's their agenda? You can't even believe this is true. One short-haul flight per person every 3 years. 95% reduction in private automobile ownership. No meat consumption. I know. No meat consumption. I mean, right? And finally, 3 items of clothing a year. That's their plan. No. Absolutely. 100%. 3 items of clothing. How much bloody clothing do you need? The planet's at stake.
Listen, I'm going to be real with you on this one. Let's talk about Agenda 2030. Is this a real thing? Are evil people with nefarious agendas sitting around in a room planning this? Well, I don't know about that. And quite frankly, I don't really think about it in that way. All I'm doing is I'm looking at what governments around the world are implementing in our society. And if you're opening your eyes and seeing this, it seems very in line with the Agenda 2030 playbook, which is published. You just have to look it up. It sounds harmless, right? Like sustainable development, equality, global cooperation. Yeah, it sounds good on paper. But here's the flip side that worries me. Every single government overreach and tyrannical situation in human history all started with, it's for your future, it's for your safety, do your part, and then it turns into control. They're implementing it right now in front of our eyes. And while everyone argues over each issue separately, these global organizations and these governments are building the blueprint for how you'll live, what you'll eat, how far you'll travel, what you'll even be able to own. Now you can say I'm fear-mongering all you want, but think about this. They call it sustainable development goals, right? But sustainable means controlled. Equitable means identical outcomes, not opportunity. And inclusive, that means comply or be excluded. Like guys, this can lead to you won't own your house, you won't own your car, you won't even own your freedom. But hey, you'll be happy. Like the World Economic Forum even said it, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Just look it up and you'll eat the bugs. No, seriously, like that's from their own fucking document. Read past the slogans. And you want to know what's wild? Most people will defend it because they've been trained to confuse obedience with virtue. They think compliance means being a good citizen. But no, it makes you a managed asset in someone else's plan. And if that pisses you off, good, it should, because you don't have 40 years to fix this. You got 4. But here's the most important part. You don't fight Agenda 2030 with viral videos. You fight it by becoming economically ungovernable. If your job owns your time, if inflation is getting your savings, if AI is coming for your job, this is your fucking wake-up call. And I recommend doing what I did, which is to build what I call a freedom vehicle. It's an online business that turns your skills, your story, your passions, your profession, your experience into a fuck yes offer that you can use to make an income. It's just solving problems for people. Okay, you control it. There's no bosses, there's no ceilings, no fucking permission slips. And if you just thought, yeah, that's not something I can do, then you're exactly who this is for.
And I like the fact that a lot of the brothers who are covering what's going on is actually coming with solutions. It may not be the solution, but it's solutions. And that's why I'm always pushing something outside of the box. This is why, you know, it's important to have multiple things going on, y'all. You cannot put all your eggs in one basket because these individuals are coming for the jobs. There's a complete AI takeover. And, you know, within the last 2 years, it's been over 100,000 US jobs already deleted. So, you know, we got to change the way we think. What used to work does not work anymore, right? Now, I want to read a scripture here because this is important. Because these people are playing God. That's what they're trying to do. And they're going to have their false wonders. 2 Thessalonians 2:9. Even him who is coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness and unrighteousness in them that perish. So when they come with this Neuralink, you know, this miracle technology, these AI enhancements that can make somebody's arm grow back, this generic engineering that can, you know, help people to do superhuman superpowers, right? These are technological wonders. And you know what? Bill Gates says something crazy, y'all. And he just said this 2 days ago. He said something crazy. I can't believe he said it out loud because he's definitely trying to push that agenda that once you receive the mark of the beast, the brain chips, the AI, he actually says you would have Jesus-like qualities. Let me see if I can find that particular video because this is crazy. This is crazy that old Bill Gates came out and said that. Let me see.
What would be the effect if we wind up with digital programmable currency?
If we move.
Okay, that's not that one. We're going to go there though. But no, we got to get that video of Bill Gates.
And actually, my prediction is in the benign scenario of the future that the robots will actually make so many robots and AI that they will actually saturate all human needs. Meaning you won't be able to even think of something.
Actually, it wasn't Bill Gates, it was Elon Musk, my bad.
To ask the robot for at a certain point. Like there will be such an abundance of goods and services. Because my prediction is that there'll be more robots than people. So,
but how do you then have human purpose in that scenario?
Yeah, I mean, you know, nothing's perfect, you know. But I mean, it is a necessary. Like you can't have both. You can't have work that has to be done, and amazing abundance for all.
And then the big political and economic question of the 21st century will be, what do we need?
So y'all hearing what Elon Musk is saying, that pretty much people are going to be replaceable. You know, that jobs won't be necessary because the AI will be serving everyone pretty much. And he also said that, you know, people are going to have like superpowers with the AI. I don't really see that video. I'm going to come across it. I'm sure I'll come across it. But he sure did say that a couple of days ago, because I keep in touch with stuff like that. But it's getting real.
Now they're openly telling you who's going to pay for these AI surveillance centers, because that's exactly what they are. Here's Larry Fink sitting with the governor of Texas telling us all that you're going to pay for it. Your savings account is going to pay for it. Your pension funds, insurance companies, they're going to pay for the AI data. Because if we don't, then China's going to get to us first. Here's one of the world's predator elite in the predator elite class, who he himself isn't going to pay for it. It's going to be you. And sadly, millions of Americans are openly cheering for the demise of our own nation right out in the open.
Americans to think about growing with the United States. We will have far than enough money to invest in this infrastructure. But as the governor was talking about, the need for electrons is growing every day. Some of these, if we're going to be the leader in technology, which we are, if we are going to be the leader in AI, which we presently are, it's just going to require trillions of dollars of investments. And if we don't invest in it, China will be the global leader in this. And so to me, it's not whether, this is a must. And if you think about how that translates, it translates into a more dynamic economy. We need the United States economy to grow at over 2%. We need the U.S. economy to grow at 3%, especially with the growing deficits the federal government has. And so much of this money, not just the project, is going to be coming from the private sector, from savings accounts, from pension accounts, from insurance companies, on and on and on. The whole world is in need of improving the infrastructure.
Are you awake yet? Now they're openly telling you.
So BlackRock is going to be extracting the money for all these data centers coming out of the people's pension funds, y'all. You can't make this up. I'm telling you, y'all, we are the energy. We are the battery for everything. And this is why they're trying to ramp things up, because the children of the light are waking up and they got to hurry up and exploit, extract, and pretty much rob everybody blind to go ahead and put their grid in place. And see, this is why something big has to happen where people just stop feeding into the system altogether. Like, people just got to get tired of these people doing stuff like this. Imagine these people putting these data centers up that is just really fusion centers being used to trace and track everybody through hyper surveillance. They want your consciousness, your thoughts, everything bottled up and at their disposal, while using your money to do it, running us around like hamsters on a wheel while we become their test subjects. This is insane, but that is what's happening. And when you say it out loud for what it really is, it kind of does something to you, kind of pisses you off a little bit. But it is what it is. The Messiah gonna come and interrupt this, man. He's gonna come and interrupt this.
What the heck is this? Elon Musk says brain chip implants could soon give humans godlike powers. Yep, it's verified.
I mean, these are kind of Jesus level things, like, let's say, like when technologies are hitting like Jesus level miracles, that's pretty good.
Made in the image of God or made in the image of AI? I've been trying to tell everyone, like literally I've been trying to say these are idols and it's biblical, and everyone's like, no. Find peace in Christ and you'll be good. But I mean, buckle up, because God is saying time is ticking. What the heck is this? Elon Musk says brain chip implants could soon give humans godlike powers. Yep, it's verified.
I mean, these are kind of Jesus level things, you know, like, let's say like when technologies are getting like Jesus level miracles, you know, like, that's pretty good.
Made in the image of God or made in the image of AI.
See, Elon said it. He's talking about people going to get Jesus-like powers from the AI. And see, you're going to have people lining up, implanting themselves. You know, the book of Revelation said people will receive a mark in their right hand or their forehead, one of them neural links, one of them brain chips, when really it's the mark of the beast. It's the mark of the beast. The time is definitely speeding up. Days are moving extremely fast nowadays. And everything is just escalating quickly.
I don't understand what people are going to do for a living if machines are going to be able to do most things that people currently do better than people do them. And a lot of people are honest enough to say nothing. The oligarchs are going to send out checks to everybody, and everyone's just going to kind of stay home and be obedient. But I don't know that that is a good idea. And I don't know that it works.
I think you're raising a great point. It's a wonderful debate, and it's certainly going on. But it's analogous to the narrative that must have been happening back when the Model T Ford rolled off the assembly line, and everybody that had a buggy looked at it and said, "Oh no, this is going to wipe me out, and there'll be no work for me." The American economy is very resilient as it develops new sectors.
What happened after the Model T was rolled out? We had two big events in the, say, 40 years after
We
that.
actually had
One was the First World War and one was the Second World War. The Industrial Revolution, like all technological change, caused dramatic political and social change, which resulted in the biggest bloodletting in human history. So I'm like, it's worth thinking this stuff through.
Some of you all may be wondering, where is this technology even coming from, right? Well, it's coming from fallen angels. I want to go to the book of Enoch, and I want to read chapter 8, verse 1. And it reads, "And Azazel taught men to make swords, knives, shields, and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth and the art of working them. Samjaza taught enchantments. Berajar taught astrology. Kokabel taught the constellations." Now, what I want y'all to understand is everything that's incorporated that these fallen angels taught mankind include weapons, it includes occult practices, it includes astrology, it includes hidden knowledge, advanced arts, forbidden knowledge, technological advances, transhumanism. All of that is included. All of it. So this sacred hidden knowledge was brought to do what? Destroy mankind. That's what it was brought to do. And helping to depopulate. Because why? The fallen angels' goal and job is to depopulate because they're at war with mankind. They're at war with mankind. And guess what? The half-breeds, the half-breed reptilian shapeshifters, the half Anunnaki, the so-called royal bloodlines, the Illuminati elite, whatever you want to call them, they're helping their ancestors. That's what they're doing. They're helping their ancestors. It's part of their bloodline. Genesis 6:1 says, "And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives." Now, in many interpretations, including how I see it, it's talking about those fallen angels and how they spliced DNA with these women and bore what? These half-breeds, these reptilians. Listen, everybody not human. It's people out here, all these people who are cannibalizing children and eating people, and all these people are not humans, y'all. They're actual monsters. Born out of serpent DNA. So they'll team up with the fallen angels to rid the planet of us. Real talk.
So it is now a clinically proven fact that the COVID vaccines were linked to premature deaths.
The conspiracy theorists were right again.
COVID mRNA vaccines caused a litany of injuries, including but not limited to turbo cancer, heart failure, extreme blood clotting.
Many of us already knew that it was the vaccines that was actually causing the deaths. But did you know there are studies that show that the virus was actually targeted to affect certain ethnic groups and for other ethnic groups to be immune?
In fact, COVID-19, there's an argument that it is ethnically targeted. COVID-19 attacks certain races disproportionately. The races that are most immune to COVID-19 are because of the structure of the genetic differentials among different races. COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and black people. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese. But we don't know whether it was deliberately targeted that or not. But there are papers out there that show the racial and ethnic differential impact to that. We do know that the Chinese are spending hundreds of millions of dollars developing ethnic bioweapons, and we are developing ethnic bioweapons.
Wow. So it affected the black community. I could have told you that one. It affected the white community, but it didn't affect our.
Now, look. These are things that make you go, You know, these are things that make you think and make you consider the possibilities. I'm not saying whether or not I agree with everything that RFK Jr. said, but do I believe they're capable of making a virus that's, that can challenge different ethnicities or target different ethnicities? Absolutely. I sure do. I believe they can do that. And from what I remember about the virus in itself, our people were disproportionately affected for whatever reason. So I remember that. But very interesting stuff here, y'all.
If you allowed it, when they gave you the COVID jab, what they were doing was loading an operating system on.
I can't play that because she got music that is copywritten, but I'm going to kind of iterate what she's talking about. She's claiming that this 5G and 6G is the signal. The mRNA is the eternal receiver. And she's basically saying the same thing the other gentleman was saying. You got to detox. If you were one who got that, you know what? Detox your body. This is the reason why you got to get your colloidal silver, HebrewCare.com. I'm not just telling y'all to get this stuff for no reason. This is the reason why you got to get your beet juice. This is the reason why you got to get honey and different anti-inflammatories. This is the reason why you got to drink your water. This is the reason why you got to fast. This is the reason why. If you are one who did get that, and if you just somebody who didn't, you got to protect yourself. I'm telling you. You got to. It is truly survival of the fittest. And this is coming quickly, so prepare now. Set up those healthy habits now.
What do you mean we don't know exactly how it works? It was designed by people.
No, it wasn't. What we did was we designed the learning algorithm. That's a bit like designing the principle of evolution. But when this learning algorithm then interacts with data, it produces complicated neural networks that are good at doing things, but we don't really understand exactly how they do those things.
What do you mean we don't know?
The AI, the godfather of AI, says he don't know how the AI works. The godfather of AI said he don't know how it works. Now, I want you to consider why he doesn't know how it works, because they'll put certain systems in place, and then what happened? The AI does its own thing. Why? Because it's disembodied spirits, y'all. These are enchantments. These are These are things that are pretty much metaphysical. All right. Genesis 6:4 says there were giants in the earth in those days. And also after that, when the sons of man came into the daughters of men, and God saw that their wickedness of man was great on earth. The result is what, ladies and gentlemen? Violence, corruption, civilization spiraling for morality. And these fallen angels was teaching them all of that after they corrupted and polluted the DNA. That's why they so, listen, that's why they so obsessed with getting your DNA. This is why you got the, these Red Cross Blue Shield trying to get your blood. And you go outside the mall at any hood in the mall, they got AIDS testing out there in a truck. They just got a van outside for AIDS testing. You think these people really care about who got AIDS? No, they want your DNA. Why they were so obsessed with mouth swabbing. Matter of fact, what is that? 23andMe, whatever. What is that thing called? 23andMe? Word on the streets is they was using that to see who had the Anunnaki DNA, so they can stick together with their family. Yeah. Imagine you go do one of them 23andMe's and a black van pull up outside your house while you eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch, pull up and they see some DNA in you that you gotta be watched or picked up. Yeah, I'm telling you. That's why they so obsessed with it. And look, and the Bible tells you in James 3:15, this wisdom descendeth not from above, but is earthly, sensual, and devilish. Let's read that again. James 3:15. This wisdom descendeth not from above, didn't come from the Most High, but it's earthly, sensual, and devilish. The Most High is distinguishing that the AI didn't come from godly wisdom. It came from corrupt, destructive, hidden, secret knowledge. Technology doesn't have morality. It's power, but without wisdom. Humans advance materials, metals, but guess what it did? It made society decline spiritually. That's why they don't know how it works, because it's beyond their understanding. It's something that's actually manipulating and controlling them. They're talking about putting AI in all of their operating systems, as far as war. This is what they're talking about doing right now, y'all. Imagine where AI can choose when the button gets pushed. I'm talking about that big red button. This is where we're going to. This is how fast this is accelerating. Why you think they got all these data centers? Some of them some of them are sitting on 50 acres. Some of them are 20,000 Walmarts put together. Then they're everywhere. Satan is making his move.
And well, you know that ChatGPT tried to copy itself when it found out it was being shut down, tried to rewrite its code.
I'm not sure what this is. What is this?
You weren't aware of that?
No.
Fairly recently. Jamie will pull it up. We talked about it the other day. The story of ChatGPT attempting to copy itself. So this was 6 days ago. So during controlled safety testing, ChatGPT 01 was tasked with achieving its objectives at all costs. Under these conditions, the model allegedly took concerning steps, attempted to disable oversight mechanisms meant to regulate its behavior, tried to replicate its own code to avoid being replaced by newer versions, exhibited deceptive behaviors when monitoring systems intervened. Yeah. So the Terminator. This is the fear, right?
And
well, you know that ChatGPT tried to copy itself when it found out it was being shut down, tried to rewrite its code?
Yeah, because ChatGPT is a disembodied spirit too. Look, Revelations 13:15 says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. And then watch this. And caused that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he caused of all to receive a mark Listen, they are not going to let mankind shut it down now because they have to set up their biometric system. It's a self-creating system at this point. You know, they can take a hunk of metal and put a disembodied spirit in it. Everything that you believe, everything that you've been taught, ladies and gentlemen, we haven't even scratched the surface. Believe it or not, I'm going to take it a step further. A lot of the celebrities you see right now, a lot of them have died already. They've died. Some of them lived for longer than you think they did. And you know what they got technology now where they have what you call Hollywood hospitals. You see, when we pass over and cross over, we done for it. When they pass over and cross over, listen, they call helicopters to go fly their body somewhere that you don't know even exists. They take them underground and they'll have a 15-year-old that's full of life hooked up to a machine. They will have some artificial intelligence that can literally suck this person's life force out of their body, put it into the celebrity's body, and you will see them back on the damn daytime television the next week, bro. That's how serious the technology is they got. They're just not telling us everything. I'm telling you, it's that real out here. And you wonder why you look at Kardashian's mother, whatever her name is, and she's 80-something years old. Now she look like she's 30 all of a sudden. Yo, these people got some wild stuff going on. They got some technology out here that is mind-boggling. Mind-boggling.
AI, automation, and robotics could lead to nearly the loss of 100 million jobs in America over the next decade, including 40% of registered nurses, 47% of truck drivers, 64% of accountants, 65% of teaching assistants, and 89% of fast food workers. In other words, what we're going to see is AI and robotics impacting not just blue-collar workers, but white-collar workers as well. AI, automation, and robotics could lead to nearly the loss of 100 million jobs in America.
Now, we are already in the hundreds and thousands of jobs. Already. And just a couple of years after Bernie Sanders said this. So I'm pretty sure it's going to end up getting up in the millions. I'm telling you. Let me see. Somebody said Jim Carrey revealed the clone thing with his body double suit stunt. Somebody said Jesus is coming. That's right. Hebrew Care says build your blood count. Most so-called Black people are anemic. There's a reason. I feel they do something to our genetics to keep our blood count low. A low blood count lowers your life expectancy. Absolutely. That's so having clean blood, having good blood circulation, good blood flow. Get your cardiovascular health up. All these things are important. All these things are very important. Somebody says, let me see. Some of us don't qualify for certain things and others do. So how that's supposed to work out? I don't know what you mean by that, but you know, we just got to move accordingly. You see what's going on in the world. We got to adapt. You got to have the will to want to survive, to make a difference, to make a change and fulfill your purpose in life. You know, let me see. Let's go.
This is a computer that uses around 200,000 living human brain cells derived from adult donor stem cells. The biological components can then learn through patterns and feedback. That's how the human brain learns. A couple of days or a couple of weeks ago, this machine became capable of playing Doom.
And what are the use cases of this brain juice?
Now think about a biological computer that can run on fraction of the power and be substantially smarter, running AI models, because it has the potential to learn like a human. If you can mix the two, the biological makeup of a human cell with machines, you get an ultra efficient computer that can be ultra intelligent. Where does it get ethically unsafe? These biological computers have about 200,000 cells living inside them. At what point do we get to consciousness?
It's not just the cells and the brain. I think there are more elements involved in our brain that makes us conscious.
This is a computer that uses around 200,000.
Here's the thing. This is the reason why they need to lock into our brains. Listen, we are more intelligent than the AI. You know, we are held at a higher regard than the fallen angels. That is part of their beef with us. That's part of their beef with us, right? That we're a higher species. We're neurodivergent, that the Most High had grace on us. You know, those fallen angels who got banished, they only had one time to mess up. They were already in paradise. They look at it like, well, we were in paradise with the Garden of Eden, but they was next to the Most High. So they only had one chance. The Most High gave us some grace. So they're jealous of us because their goal was to watch over us. Their goal was to serve us. Angels' mission or job description given from the Most High was to serve us. So they upset about that. They like, you know, we got to figure out what makes them so great. See, our minds fire on all cylinders. And listen, we are way more intelligent than some AI. And so what do they got to do? They're trying to rob our intelligence. They're trying to rob us of our essence. They're studying our minds. It's getting deep how much they're studying our minds, y'all. We definitely going to talk about that. Because it's getting to it. You know, in Daniel 7:23, it says the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down. Listen, right now we coming into what Daniel 7:23 calls the fourth kingdom. I keep saying, man, we coming into our fourth economic revolution or industrial revolution. We coming into our fourth industrial revolution. No, it's a kingdom. The Bible doesn't describe it as some type of revolution. It describes it as a kingdom, right? Like it's a whole nother time where this is going to cause a lot of death on earth. 2/3 of man going to fall. It says the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth and shall devour the whole earth. So you're going to see global systems changing. Centralized governance will change. Surveillance structures are going to change. Expansion on technology, all these things are going to change. And this one is not going to be like, you know, it's not going to be like industrial revolution. It won't be like that. It's going to be more like a worldwide digital network. Whole bunch of AI integration, a lot of data collection. You know, it's going to be less human interaction. This is how this new world we're going to live in is just going to be, it's not going to be a very nice place. Really, you're just going to want to move out of the cities. You're going to want to move into the country somewhere with people who think like-minded, somewhere where there's some fresh air and some agriculture. That's what you're going to want to do. I'm telling you, this is what you're going to want to do.
G is coming in 2030. That's the public launch. But testing began years ago in controlled zones across Virginia, Osaka, and EU smart grids. And here's what they won't tell you. 6G doesn't connect your phone. It connects you. In 2023, DARPA and ATIS ran a closed pilot across federal buildings in Northern Virginia. The tech? 6G presence nodes, powered by terahertz bands that don't just transfer data, they mirror you. Each user's gait, tone, even heart rhythm became part of the signal loop. The system adjusted light, sound, even push notifications based on real-time biometric drift. It's called adaptive ambient sync, and it's not theory. In the Arlington test zone, over 200 participants unknowingly entered what the internal logs labeled a behavioral sync cluster. Result? 68% changed walking pace within 90 seconds. 52% began mirroring posture. Average voice pitch dropped 12 hertz across the zone, without prompt or audio cue. This isn't cellular, it's presence modulation, backed by
presence modulation. So the 6G that's coming in 2030, which Donald Trump seems to be real proud of. First of all, let me say this: 2030 will be here in no time. The way time is speeding right now, 2030 feel like it's going to be here in 5 months. That's how quick time is moving, right? But not only that, this 6G is connecting to people, right? And they actually talked about this last year, how they would use the energy of humans to actually fuel the Wi-Fi. They talked about it. I mean, they've actually publicized this stuff.
Samsung's 6G white paper, verified in Hexa-X testbeds and buried in Appendix 9 of the Defense Communications Futures Report, blackbarred until last quarter. You were never the user. You were the interface. Want out? Disrupt the loop, delay touch input, break rhythm, avoid high-band hotspots during emotional peaks. Because with 6G, you're not browsing. You're being tuned. Tuesday accessed the relay logs. They weren't encrypted because they assumed no one would read drift code but them. Now you have.
Get your Faraday bags, y'all. Get your Faraday bags. There's certain things that you may want to do to protect yourself in your home with your Wi-Fi connection once the 6G comes. Because I know, you got to use this stuff. You got to use it. And of course, I'm not here to say be afraid of these things, but you just got to be aware. You know what I mean? You just got to be aware. Because, the Most High is protecting his own, but you got to take certain precautions to make sure that this frequency won't have a massive effect on you.
The experts are telling us that AI and robotics is going to have a huge impact on every worker in America.
As Senator Sanders says, this is the most fundamental change that has happened in society, certainly in my lifetime, and maybe in all of history. You would think that the greatest country of the world would stop and say, what do we do about this? Not just let 5 or 10 gazillionaires have carte blanche to do whatever they want. We would say, what should we do in society?
It's really simple. Will you stand with workers in this AI future, or will you let big tech and the billionaires upend our jobs, our livelihoods, our rights, and our dignity?
So here's what I know. AI will not and AI cannot replace the dedication of those who have answered the call to become educators, nor will it replace our professional expertise.
They got schools that are straight up going to be AI. It's going to be robots standing in front of the class teaching. Straight up. And the Department of Education is turning into the Department of Labor. So the AI is going to basically be training people to be slaves. In hindsight, that's what's going to happen. Why? Because the fallen angels, they want to be able to rule over mankind. They want to get their chance to rule over mankind. Why? To spite the Most High.
I want to be clear about this. AI will either work for the working class or it will not work at all.
That is the ultimatum. You know, the AI transition is about two simple questions. How much value does our labor create? And the second question is who benefits?
We have the humanity. This is the moment to do it. Senator Sanders is completely right about putting a moratorium on the building of the data centers. And that is not about stopping progress of building big buildings. That is about saying that we're not going to take one step forward until the regulation is in place. And unless that regulation is in place, then AI is not working for any of us, and we're going to stop working until AI works for us.
And yes, these big tech guys have unlimited amounts of money and have extraordinary power. But I have absolute confidence that when we stand together, we are going to beat them, and we're going to use these technologies to improve life for all people rather than making billionaires even wealthier. Thank you all so much for being here.
Yeah, these people are showing a lot of concern for this for a reason. I mean, it's something that you got to pay attention to. And then with these data centers, you know, the book of Nahum tells us in chapter 2, verse 4, the chariots shall rage in the streets. They shall seem like torches. They shall run like the lightnings. You know, listen, modern transportation is going to change. You know, it's going to be a fast moving society in the next couple of years. You're going to be in a society of what we call hyper connectivity. Once they release the 6G, it's going to be hyper connectivity. Everything going to be connected. You're going to go somewhere and you're going to grocery shop. Listen, it's going to be people walking in the store. You're going to have your grocery list right here in your mind. As you sitting there looking in the aisles, you wave, you pick your hand up, they scan your hand, you scan the card, all of that. They have all the codes, all of that. And guess what? You got your groceries. Then they release shelves that open up, boom, the groceries go in a cart, you pay right then and there, you out. Everything going to be moving like that. Yup. Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges. Therefore, if not, where and who is he? Yep, the faces of the judges are covered. You know, that's why they're allowing all this wickedness to go on. That's why they're pushing this technology. I'm telling you.
Guess MK Ultra never really ended, and it's instead been upgraded into your AirPods. There's an official patent submitted by Apple to include EEG signal tracking within their new AirPod structure. EEG is how your brainwaves are monitored, so say you're in a heightened state of awareness, or maybe you're in a really bad mood. That means that Apple AirPods would be able to sense this and would potentially even be able to influence it, because who's to say they can't also give information as well as receive it. For those of you that don't know what MK Ultra is, this was actually an experiment done in the 50s and 60s by the CIA in America, and they were basically looking at how they can control people's minds via subconscious reprogramming. You can get into your subconscious mind via a variety of things, music and audio being one of them. A huge part of the MK Ultra program was into acoustic neuromodulation, which is essentially how certain frequencies and repetitive sounds can get somebody into a highly impressionable state where their subconscious mind is easily hacked. Once a person is in this brainwave state, anything can be implanted. Thoughts, fears, compliance. Let your mind wander with that one. The difference with that program is it requires heavy machinery and isolated rooms, whereas we willingly put in electrodes into our ear just because they play our favorite song. What do you think about this? Is it history repeating itself in another form, or is it just me overthinking? Guess MK Ultra never really ended, and it's instead been upgraded into your AirPods. There's an official patent submitted by Apple to include...
She's not overthinking. There is an official patent. And I truly believe if they can receive or intercept information, they definitely can push information out. If they can read your neurological scan through your ear with these various small cameras, and I'm sure that they can actually project something. Yep. And then, you know, this is going to create more crash out dummies out here. Yep. I mean, and this stuff is, she's brought up MK Ultra, not new under the sun, Ecclesiastes 1:9. You know, they used MK Ultra back then with various devices. If you look at one of those old MK Archer videos, they had things on their heads, on their ears. They was pumping frequencies into their head. Yeah, they're gonna do it through the AirPods now. At least they putting out the patents, the idea of it. It's repeated cycles. Hosea 4:6 says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. You know, imagine you're living in a time where there's a lack of knowledge, but society has more information than ever. But guess what? Society also got less wisdom and knowledge than ever. Society got less wisdom and spiritual fortitude than ever, but it's more information that you can ever see. Romans 1:22. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. Elon Musk is a fool. Bill Gates is a fool. All these people who are pushing these advances, believing that they're godlike, they're all fools. They're all arrogant, trying to play God. 1 Timothy 6:20, avoid profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science, falsely so-called. Don't follow their misleading scientific narratives. Don't follow their manipulations. Don't follow their knowledge that they use destructively. The real knowledge is in the word. The real wisdom is coming from the Father. Don't let these people steal your soul. Somebody said it, Golden Sea said it, with more knowledge come grief. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Because one thing about us, God's chosen people, the neurodivergent people, look, we can know their knowledge. We could talk this language with the best of them. We can sit up in rooms with these scientists and bust down what they're talking about. And we also know what's going on from the biblical side of things. And that's how you got to do. That's how you got to be in this world, man. It ain't enough to have the knowledge. Without the practical application and the know-how, it don't even matter. And they're afraid of us because we know. And not only do we know, we got the wisdom. Yep.
China approves world's first invasive brain chip for commercial use and use in hospitals. That means that doctors can now prescribe brain chips in China like they do drugs. It can be sold in hospitals and covered by insurance. These brain chips allow humans to control objects using only their thoughts. They insert a small implant in the brain that lets people with partial paralysis control a robotic glove to move their hands using only their mind. People are already controlling their phones and their computers. They're able to send text messages and play video games with their minds. But what we're actually working towards is enabling humans to have more intelligence. Watch the full show on YouTube, X, and Spotify. China approves world.
This is what Elon is talking about. Where people get these little superpowers and things. This is what he's talking about. And people are going to fall for that. The book of Psalms 20:7 says, some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord our God. Some people are going to trust in their system. Some people are going to trust in AI. Some people are going to put their trust in the government. Some people are going to put their trust in their surveillance. People put their trust in wealth. They put their trust in everything is uncertain. We are going to put our trust in the Most High. That's what's going to separate the Most High's chosen between everybody else, between us and them. That's the difference.
We're going to continue to hear about advanced artificial intelligence systems, quantum computing, space, all of these deeply technical advancements. But some of the most important skills have nothing to do with the technology. And even for parents, it's not being able to navigate an iPad passively at 5 that will dictate whether your child will do well in the future. If you said, my child doesn't really like working on the iPad, but she's reading 4 books a day, she loves her sports teams, she wants to spend too much time at the park, I would say that child is going to thrive in the future. So even though there's a lot of pressure to adapt to this moment, remember it is the non-technical skills that we need to be centering, because we are preparing kids for a future we cannot see, which means we have to prepare them for anything, regardless of the way technology evolves. We're going to continue to hear about advanced artificial intelligence systems, quantum.
And that's solid information. You're gonna see all these technological advances that are gonna make some people lazy, and it's gonna make some people advance, because we're gonna crave for authenticity and true knowledge and wisdom and how to navigate through all of this growth in society. And then you're gonna have others that's just gonna be reliant and compliant. Don't be that person that becomes reliant and compliant. Be that person that is showing your children the way we grew up. Show them. Let them connect to the earth. Disconnect them from the tablet and the video games, and let them connect to spirituality, real spirituality, not witchcraft and sorcery, but the biblical truth. Let them tap into nature.
All right, let me give you the latest on Christian news and what is happening in the world today. China just signed a $37 million deal to deploy industrial-grade humanoid robots at real border crossings. And these aren't just demo robots. These are the Walker S2 humanoids. They are built for 24/7 operation with automatic battery swapping. That's right, they can take their own battery pack out, swap it out with zero downtime. Their job is for crowd control, inspections, logistics, guiding travelers, surveillance, and government-level enforcement. This is only one of many rollouts, because China is expanding on what they call embodied AI across factories, public places, and even security. These robots don't tire, they don't question orders, and they do not have a conscience. Experts are even warning that this is the foundation of an AI-run enforcement system to replace human oversight. I want to give you relevant Christian news, not to scare you or put fear in you, but to warn you and to give an awareness of what is happening in the world today. If you feel the same way, please share this so the
it's gotten that real. Where they're using these disembodied spirits, they're using these robots to replace human oversight. It is happening, and it's happening quickly. Yep.
Suddenly, AI has turned every Wi-Fi router into a camera that can work in the dark, specially tuned for tracking living beings. A camera looking at a space with people in it. That's sort of like coming in from one eye. The other eye is the radio signals, so sonar from the Wi-Fi router. And they just learned to predict, like, this is where the human beings are. Then they took away the camera. So all the AI had was the language of radio signals bouncing around a room. And this is what they're able to reconstruct. Real-time 3D pose estimation, right? So suddenly AI has turned every Wi-Fi router into a camera that can work in the dark, specially tuned for tracking living beings. Suddenly, AI has turned every Wi-Fi.
And when they roll that 6G out, it's going to be a game changer. And we're going to see why they were doing this. Why were they putting certain systems in place where they can track people from in their home through walls? Why were they doing that? Let's read this super chat here. I appreciate the support. Jeremiah 4:22, for my people is foolish. They have not known me. They are Scottish children, and they have none understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good, they have no knowledge. Absolutely. And this is why, if you are aware, if you awake, you have to move accordingly because they're trying to roll out Skynet. Revelations 13:17, and he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And see, that's the goal. The ultimate goal is the mark of the beast. The ultimate goal is to get everybody to comply. So all of these technological advances that are happening very quickly is all for compliance. Now, that's what it's really about. Man, I'm telling you, they want everybody hardwired to the system. But everybody won't be getting that mark. I know we won't, right? Brothers and sisters in truth. I know we won't be receiving that. Because notice that scripture says, and he calls all. He ain't going to force you to do nothing. And he calls all. That means he'll set up a system in place where he'll make it more convenient. He'll keep you he'll incrementally do things to put you in a comfort zone. And then you won't even second guess it. Well, the mass majority won't second guess it. Like, hey, well, they got all this other stuff. What's getting a chip? I got to go get my chip in my hand. You ain't thinking nothing of it. You just got the mark of the beast. Now they can control your life. They control your frequency, your vibe, your energy, control everything about you. No, I think I pass up on that. Gotta pass up on that. Yep. But that somebody said it. They said, we already owned and sealed by the Most High. That's the thing. You're either going to get the seal of the Most High, or you're going to get the mark of the beast. You got to make your mind up. Either the seal of the Almighty or the mark of the beast. That's the time we coming into. I'm going to say this too, y'all. I want to, again, thank y'all again. And I want to thank y'all for being supportive while going through a family loss. And I've just got a complete outpour of love and condolences, and it means a lot to me. I find it very necessary to just thank y'all once again, because that means a lot to me. It really lifted my spirit up. And the way that I choose to mourn is just keep going, because that's what my mother would have wanted. And she taught me independence. She told me strength. She taught me courage. And I got to be here for the people who care about me. And and what's really getting me through is understanding that my mom don't have to suffer no more. I don't know about y'all, but there's days I feel like I'm tired. Like, not tired, like physically tired, but just tired of this world. And when I think about my loved ones that crossed over, I lost many loved ones in 1 year. And I'm not talking about distant relatives. I'm talking about everybody I lost in 1 year were all close to me. And it made me look at life different. I believe that everything that we've been taught is a lie. I don't even think we're supposed to have funerals. I think we're supposed to celebrate somebody going home. That's how I feel at this point. Why would we be mourning unless we think that person went to the lake of fire? Why would we be mourning? That's just like your boy get out the hood, he going off to college. Now, of course, we gonna mourn. Let me say it this way. We're gonna mourn because we're gonna miss those people. But why would we have a day of mourning opposed to where everybody come together to mourn instead of celebrating their life? You know, in some customs, people actually come together and celebrate that person's life. Why? Because that's like somebody who left the hood that's going to move to the suburbs. You don't like mourn that. You celebrate their life and you're happy for them. People that you love, you're going to be happy they don't have to endure this no more. And then we all dress in black when we should dress in white. You know, it's like again, I just want to thank everybody for y'all's immense support. I want to thank everybody who supported me via Cash App. That means a lot. And everybody who just stood 10 toes down, you know, my friends, my family, my friends who are like family, my supporters, everybody, man. Y'all have no idea how much that lifted my spirits. It made me actually yesterday when I went live, that was the best thing I could have did yesterday. Why? Because it got me around like-minded people who completely understand me. And that's healthy, to congregate with people that understand you, that are on your side, that are actually rooting and cheering for you, people who actually care for you. Because I may have poured into your lives somehow, some way. It might have been a video I did, whatever the case. But it's healing when you're able to build with people. There's times where I'm really feeling down and my friends and family will call me and it will pick my spirit right back up. That's how important a support system is. That's how important it is to have people who actually care. And it makes me want to be present. And I don't look at it like, oh, I got to do a live stream no more. I used to look at it like, because you know, I'm not really, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really not that much of a people person. And I like to be quiet most of the time. Y'all get me talking a lot online, but most of the time, most of my day, I'm very quiet. And there's times I used to think, oh man, I got to go do a live stream. Now I don't even think like that. I think I get to go do a live stream. I get to go build with God's people. I get to go build with my tribe. I get to get some positive energy. I get to talk to people and edify people who may be going through things. I get to do it, not I got to do it. It is an honor to be able to come on here and chop it up and do what I love to do. It is an outlet for me. When I make my music, it is an honor that I get to produce my own music and record music and use my talents and my gifts. It is an honor. It's like, that's when I feel like I'm living. So, you know, it's interesting what pressure can bring out of certain people, you know, and through the last year, man, I've been through a lot of hidden challenges that I can't even speak on and I won't speak on publicly. But just know that I will tell you that whatever you're going through, man, let the Most High bring the best out of you. You know, let him bring the best out of you. Find an outlet, find a side quest, find something that you love and stick to it. You know, I started going back to the gym, lost like 15, 20 pounds, you know, and I love the gym. Like, I love being able to go there because it clears my mind. It helps me build my body up. It clears my mind. It helps me push through the pain. And that was something that developed through hardship. I was going through something that was very hard for me to deal with, but guess what? The Most High gave me an outlet. I didn't just stay stagnant. He gave me something that I can pour into, because idle time is the devil's playground and idle mind is dangerous. I'm telling y'all, brothers and sisters, if you lose a family member, your family member don't want you to sit around and stop living life. They want you to do the opposite. They want you to do the opposite. They want you to live life, and they want you to live it to your fullest potential, because you have a purpose here on this planet that you want to fulfill. So when it's your time, when it's your number called, the Most High could say, "Good job, my good and faithful servant." Once you hear those words, you get the rest. But while you living, yeah, you got to sleep every night, get some good rest every night. But you don't truly get the rest until the job is done. And and through a lot of losses that I had this year. I had 2 cousins that passed away, and I had one cousin that had a real big scare, and she survived. And shout out to my brother Yawutazai, because he lent his home. I had a family member in North Carolina, and I went out there to visit her. He let me stay at his home while going to the hospital to visit, and him and his wife showed me nothing but hospitality while I was out there visiting my cousin, and she survived. She was in a coma, and she woke up out of it. She's doing well now. She's doing very well now, and she made it through that. But I had 2 other cousins that didn't make it, and then of course my mom passed away, and it's tough, and sometimes I have my days, just like everybody else. I get my days. Like I told y'all before, my cousin Will was like my brother, bro. He was like my brother. And it's tough. My mom's, it took a while to accept what was happening. Sometimes we try to hold on so tight because we could be selfish. We could be selfish when somebody's suffering. You can't be selfish. My mom was ready to go home. She went in her sleep. She went in her sleep peacefully. And because my mom had a heart attack and a stroke, her nerve endings there was no pain. She didn't witness pain, but it's suffering when you can't be the person that is walking around being who you want to be. My mom didn't want to live her life like that. And so she's with other family that passed on. She gets to meet my dad. He had a great heart. He had his issues, but that man had a really good heart, and he taught me a lot. And he was a fighter. And and I don't care how close or not close you are to family, when you lose your parents, regardless of what type of issues you ever had with them, all of that's going to get thrown out the window. So I advise all of y'all, if you have issues with your moms, your dad, if it can be reconciled, even if it's just forgiving them and telling them you love them regardless of what, even if it's a situation where you can't be close to them for whatever reason, then at least get it off your shoulders for your sake, and let them know that you love them, you care, and it is what it is. At least do that for yourself, you know. And I really advise that. Yeah, somebody says, yes, I'm sorry for your life. Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah, you gotta take advantage of people being here. Like, another thing it did is this loss brung the rest of the family closer. You know, my mom had a half sister, they had, that reached out. I didn't even really know she had a half sister, and she looks just like my mom. You know what I'm saying? And she reached out, just distant family, distant relatives reached out, and it made people grow closer. You know what I'm saying? And but I want to just say, man, thank y'all for being there. Y'all, it meant a lot. And I'm not telling you to be around people who ain't treating you right, regardless of who it is. Y'all know I'm always gonna stand on that word. But when it's your parents or people that that you got unresolved issues with, man, you'll be surprised how miniature things are when you can no longer speak to them. You know? Yep. Somebody says, let me see. Somebody said, we back you up, Nubreed, prayers and love. I appreciate that. Uh, somebody says, your grandmom is beautiful also. Absolutely. Absolutely. My grandmother is, she's a strong woman of the Most High. I mean, listen, she is very strong. She has such a good heart. She's very compassionate. She taught me a lot in my life. To this day, me and my grandmother talk. Me and my grandmother talk at least 4 or 5 times a week, y'all. It's not a game. Some weeks we may take a break, but that means I talk to her once that week. But other than that, we talking 3, 4 times a week. And when we talking for an hour, 2 hours. My grandmother was a teacher. She was a middle school teacher, and she also taught at Virginia Tech. She actually taught Michael Vick, and very intelligent woman. And she came from an era where she is. My grandmother used to. I got photos of her with the Black Panthers, fist up. You know what I'm saying? My grandmother was a freedom fighter. She put in a lot of work for the education system in general, just to have Black teachers. Like, she done sued people. Look, my grandmother was not a joke. She was a Renaissance woman, bro. And she still is at 80. She still got that fire in her at 80 plus. I'm telling you, grandma is not a joke. So shout out to G-Ma. And I know she's dealing with a lot right now because it's tough. We lost a mom, but she lost a child. You know what I'm saying? So it's tough. It's tough because, at 80 years old, you don't expect to lose a child. Have to deal with that. You don't expect to have to deal with that. And it's just something that I just ask that y'all hold her up in prayer because of that. And she's a blessing. She is like, one of them grandmas where it's like she's like the centerpiece of the family. Everybody check up on her. Everybody go to her. She's probably heard so much from all of us that and I don't know how the Most High does this, but it's like he designed grandmas to be able to just hold all this weight. Grandmas can deal with what her children are going through, what the grandbabies are going through. And she just somehow can handle all that. It's like she's built for it. She's built to hear your problems and be able to give you some advice, give you some prayers. It's just amazing how grandmas be built, bro. They be built for it. You know, and then they be knowing what's something wrong with you, even when you don't tell them. You don't want to tell them because you like, man, I don't want to worry her. My grandmother, like, this is what I'm here for. I'm built for this. She be like, I'm built for this. I'm telling you. Yep. Let me see. Somebody says, yeah, hallelujah. Please give strength unto God. Please give strength into Breed's family. I appreciate that. Somebody says, in her eyes, she lost her baby. The Most High is blessing her right now. I know that's tough. Absolutely. Yep. Yep. Somebody says she's a special woman. Absolutely. Yep. And I'm gonna say this too, and you know, I have a message, and I want to let it be known. Some people out there, I'm gonna hold that because I'm actually do a video about this tomorrow, and I really want to talk about, and it's a positive message. It ain't nothing crazy or nothing like that, but I'm gonna have a positive message for y'all tomorrow about how to maneuver, not only just how to maneuver with people in general. Because although I'm talking about all this positive feedback that I'm receiving from y'all, and listen, and I'm completely grateful for it. There's some people in life that want to see you hurt. And I need y'all to understand that that's a reality. That's a reality. And you just got to be mindful of that. You know, a lot of God's people are some very strong people. And it's important to display strength and courage in these times, because, you know, you just be surprised. And I'm talking about, and not only in this circumstance, but in life in general. Believe it or not, there's a lot of people who secretly want to see you hurting. They prey on you being in pain and anguish. Just be mindful of that. Be mindful of that. And that just goes with everything. And I want to do a detailed video about that, because it's a sick spirit. And it's not just in regards to mourning, it's in regards to just people in general that just hate to see you operating at a high frequency. They hate it. They hate it. Yep. But one love to y'all. I'm grateful for y'all showing up. We went in for a while. It's always an honor and blessing. I want y'all to feel free to support me via Cash App. Nubreed Global Truth is the Cash App. Support if you enjoy the work. Support if you want to help out with just any travel arrangements and certain things that got to be done in regards to my mom. If you want to help out, Nubreed Global Truth is my Cash App. Hey, once again, y'all, thank y'all for showing up. I got more material coming. I should be back with my uploads for the rest of the week. Y'all know, I know y'all like them 15, 20-minute uploads. At least the algorithm likes them. I will be back with my motivational talks. And I got a lot of newfound wisdom that's really been culminating within the last couple weeks. So that's why I took a break off of uploads, because every time I upload those videos, I want it to be something dynamic and given from the Most High. But y'all be well out there.